Newsfirst, Newsline.
Hello there, a very good evening and welcome to another edition of Newsline, of course, coming to you as always live and direct from our Newsfirst studios here in Colombo. Of course, with the current environment in Sri Lanka, it is obvious what the topic is going to be here on Newsline tonight. It's about the situation surrounding the environmental destruction in Sri Lanka, or as the authorities suggest, the exaggeration of the situation that was already prevailing throughout the past years. To discuss these matters and more, of course, we've got a person who is well conversant in matters surrounding the environment. She's an environmental scientist, Dr. Ajantha Perera, who has a PhD in environmental sciences from the University of Munich, Germany. A very good evening, Doctor, and welcome to the show.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for inviting.
Doctor, first question I'm going to ask you is not surrounding the environmental destruction that is taking place in Sri Lanka, or at least the details, the facts of these incidents, because I believe you were on a show before on Newsline itself, and we discussed those matters. Currently, the concern is the response that the government has given to these matters that have been raised time and time again. The government, or the authorities, moreover, even the Central Environmental Authority, the Ministry of Environment, what they say is that the environmental destruction that has been taking place in Sri Lanka has been happening at a steady pace over the past few years. Their response to this is the situation is not as bad as people make it to seem. Is this another ploy of the opposition? Because that is what they are dubbing it as.
No, actually, to be very frank with you, I don't think there was any time in this country where basically the wetlands were filled, where the trees were cut, roads were constructed along the buffer zones, where I think the situation became very worst when the very person that the people trusted to take care of them eventually went to the areas which are heritage. Let's say, for example, Singaraja Forest is our heritage. Now this is something that belongs to the people of Sri Lanka, and he goes there and knowing very well the law of the country says that you cannot build a road on a buffer zone, and he actually says right in front of the camera for everyone to hear, just to build a road. My word is a circular, my word is the law, just build the road, no problem. So when a person acts that way, people are alarmed, because we vote for a person trusting in that person, and when that very person is beginning to cut the forest, he is beginning to fill the marshlands, he goes to Gama Pilisandara, then he tells the people, okay, build a road here, do this, do that. And I think what he does not understand is, as a president, he needs to be extremely scientific, he needs to be extremely responsible, and he needs to always look at the Constitution with a great respect. We expect the president to respect the Constitution. We expect the president to respect the cabinet. We expect the president to respect the hearts of the people.
But with all due respect, Doctor, you speak of this situation as if the president can go and enforce the law himself, because, again, speaking at another event, the president said, I did not give permission for people to just randomly go and cut down trees. I did not give permission to do that. He specifically, expressly mentioned this. He questioned the officials as well, saying, when the first tree was cut down, what were the officials doing? So these statements of the president, haven't you heard them? Don't they send out a message?
I do. But the thing is, you see, what he should remember is, there is the National Environmental Act. The National Environmental Act clearly says that for any development to happen, they need to look into the environmental impact assessment study. Now the president himself, even before he would say that anybody can build a road somewhere, he should have asked a question from the officers, have you done the environmental impact assessment? Or he could have called the Minister for Environment and say, have you really looked into the environmental impact assessment? And then ask, Are there any consequences? You see, the issue is this. When the president tells the people or the army people, when he said to them, you can construct the road within 3 months, make sure you do that. Where was the environmental impact assessment report? There is a law. You know, there is a law. You have to abide by that. When we are driving on the road, there is a law existing. You can't surpass that. You can't say there is a red light, but I am the president, so I am going. You can't do that. You are a law-abiding citizen. Full stop. I mean, okay, maybe he has mistook that because he got the 20th Amendment passed by the Parliament, maybe he is feeling that he is a superpower above everything else. And that probably is why he goes to Gamasamaga, Pilisandara, whatever. Then he tells the, you know, he says he goes there to find out about the people's needs. But eventually he goes and complains how about the Easter attack and all sorts of things. So I have a feeling he is trying very, very hard to bring forth the fact that he believes he is a supreme power. But he is not. But the 20th Amendment has given him a lot of power because no one can take him to courts. No one can find fault with him. So even after his presidency,
I believe there is a bit of a correction there. A fundamental rights application still can be filed against the president.
okay. But nevertheless, with whatever the damage that he is doing right now, the number of trees he is cutting, the wetlands he is filling, the marshes he is filling, I mean, the amount of groundwater we are losing and also the amount of rain we are losing, you know, can anybody take him to courts? I was thinking today, every child born to Sri Lanka in the last few days and in the future will be seen a different Singaraja forest from today. You know, they will not see the same Singaraja forest as before. Every child born to Sri Lanka in the next few months or years ahead, they will see less elephants, they will see less of biodiversity. Is this what we expect? Is this what people deserve? That's the question. It's not about us, it's about our future. The people, the younger generation that's coming up, the babies who are born. You know, as a president, he should be making sure that the children who are born to this country in the future will be able to see a better Sri Lanka, more in biodiversity, rich in natural resources. He should be protecting it. That's why we call him the custodian, the stewardship.
Doctor, when it comes to protecting the environment, of course, it's important that all Sri Lankans unite and speak in one voice, because that will obviously make it easier for the general public to persuade the relevant authorities to take these matters seriously. And there is a wave that is building right now where the general public are coming forward and speaking out for their right and for their right to enjoy the environment, for the rights of their children to enjoy the environment. However, there is a bit of a divide amongst the general public on political lines. Mostly, social media, of course, is the new nuclear deterrent that everybody uses. It has caused changes in governments. Much can be done on social media, and when we scroll past social media, what we see is that even the general public, there is a section of the general public, maybe for political reasons, maybe they genuinely do believe it, that they believe that this situation is not as bad as, well, as you say it is, or as the people protesting in Colombo and maybe in other parts of the country say it is. The situation is not that bad. This is just an exaggeration. This is another campaign launched by a number of opposition parties to try and unsettle the government.
Well, 69 lakhs of people actually voted for him, and I think they brought the government hoping that it would do a better job or a good job in that sense of at least protecting the environment and building our economy. But I think what really is happening is when they see all these things that are happening at the moment, people are pointing fingers at them. Everybody is saying whoever voted for this particular government, they are at fault as well. So because of that, I think they are trying to justify it, some of them. But then on the other side, there are also, we know social media, there are social media campaigns that run during the elections as well. And they actually, there are groups of people who are paid people. And they sit, all what they do most of the time is to criticize another candidate. I remember when I ran for the presidential election, there were a huge number of comments that were written, and sometimes you can't even look at those comments. And I think they are all paid people who are actually writing comments just on behalf of someone. So I think this is a natural thing in Sri Lanka. But nevertheless, the question comes up is that, I mean, we are born to a country called Sri Lanka. We are proud of our natural resources. We are proud of our reservoirs. We are proud of our rivers. We are proud of our mountains. We are proud of our natural resources, the forest and so on. And we want to make sure that we can keep them. Sure, we need development. There's plenty of land available for development. At the same time, there is a law. For example, environmental impact assessment. This report, if you can do an environmental impact assessment report for every project that you are going to do, then at least there is a possibility to see if there are environmental issues, there's a way to overcome them. There is a way to correct them. I mean, we need development. I would be the happiest person if there is an industrial estates coming up, because we need to develop our economy. We need to pay back our debt. We need to develop, but not at the cost of losing the natural resources we have. Let's say, for example, once we cut down all the forest, there will be less rain. So how are we going to run the country on hydropower? Then when the marshes are filled, the very place which is actually recharging the groundwater is what we have like a savings account for the country, because groundwater is the cleanest water, surface water is what we are using day to day for drinking, but the groundwater is untouched because that's something, a reservoir we keep for the generations for the future. It is left untouched. But how does the groundwater get recharged? It gets recharged when we have wetlands. Wetland is the place where the groundwater is being recharged. So we need to understand
wetlands like
this.
Anaviludava.
Like the Anavilindava. And then we need to also understand there is a climate issue, climate change. Situation is going to get worse. We are going to have more droughts and we are going to have more floods. So the weather patterns are going to change, and the whole world is getting ready for climate change. And there is a certain amount of adaptations, remedial measures. We are all talking about this. And the forests are the most important things in order to reduce the amount of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. We know that very well, because trees are the only thing that can absorb carbon dioxide. So in order to reduce the amount of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, we need trees. We should not be cutting them. So my question is, either the president does not know environmental, he does not know the value of a tree, or he is feeling that he is supreme enough to take care of the country even without trees. I don't know how he is going to manage that, because we are going to have less oxygen, we are going to have less food, and we are going to have a lot of carbon dioxide, and the earth is, the country is going to get hotter, and and we are an island. So what happens during global warming is that when the sea level rises, the small islands are going underwater. Today, even the Maldives, there are many islands in Maldives which are underwater. So we are also an island. Who knows what will happen to Sri Lanka in the future? I'm not trying to put fear in anyone, but the science says we need to take care of our own environment for the sake of the whole world. And also, especially as an island nation, we need to be very careful.
News First, Newsline.
Hello there, welcome back. You're watching Newsline. We're in conversation with Dr. Ajantha Perera. She's an environmental scientist. She has a PhD in environmental sciences from the University of Munich, Germany. Doctor, getting back to our conversation, I was speaking to you about how on social media there is a certain faction of the society that believe that these cases of environmental destruction that are being reported mostly on social media, and the people are being agitated, people are crying out for their rights on social media, they are saying that these are fake. There was one status that I saw while I was scrolling through my newsfeed, of course, saying, please send me cases of actual ecocide that are taking place in Sri Lanka and the current status of it. If you could give us just a few.
Yeah, I mean, basically, the closest one that anybody can go and have a look at is the Athidia marsh right now. Basically, people are, there's I don't know, we really don't know who's doing that, but they are bringing whole heaps of garbage, they are dumping it on the marsh, and they are actually, basically what they are doing is they are filling it up. So there are houses being built at the moment, and some of the areas are being actually covered. So now the question comes is, a wetland cannot function when it becomes filled with soil. So basically,
and Doctor, as per your knowledge, this is illegal?
This is illegal.
This is illegal.
This is illegal, totally illegal, because basically the wetland in Athidia marsh is a well protected one, and we have a lot of migratory birds who actually come there, but right now if you go there, there's hardly any. So
Doctor, what about the situation in Singharaja? There are certain people who say that, that's not true as well, it's just an exaggeration.
Yeah, well the thing is, I mean, Singharaja, the road construction in Singharaja is not a false thing, because the president himself went and said to put up the road. The second thing is, recently there was this girl who has said about a hotel being built, and they are actually showing the hotel, the construction of the hotel. So these are, I think, what these people.
But the authority said that that's a private land and there's nothing that they can do about it.
No, but you cannot, even if you cannot have private lands inside a forest. This is something that people has to understand that. You see, when you talk about a forest, there is a forest, then you have surrounding it is the buffer zone. So even within that buffer zone, suppose this is a private land within the buffer zone, even within a buffer zone you can't build a hotel. Maybe somebody could have a small house and they can be living there. They might be plucking firewood and they may be living there, but they cannot construct a hotel. The reason being, the moment you put up a hotel, there will be infrastructure for the travelers. There will be other facilities that will come to that area. So once you put one hotel, there will be construction, development happening around it. And so the area that gets damaged is larger and larger. This is why I keep saying environmental impact assessment studies, have a look at that. Now, for example, I remember there was a road to be constructed, and then there was this prestigious plant that was there, and because there was no EIA report, because there was no EIA report being looked into, they were constructing the road right next to it. But if there was an environmental impact assessment done, then of course they would have had an alternative route. See, the question is right now is, what is Mr. Mahinda Amaraveera doing? What is Mr. Amarasinghe, the chairman of the Central Environmental Authority, doing? You see, they have been given these positions to take care of the environment. He is the minister, he's been given all the vehicles he needs, he's been given a house, he's been paid, and now he as the minister for environment, he's the one who should be making sure that the environmental impact assessments are done, and he's the one who should be advising the president on how to go about this. The chairman of the Central Environmental Authority should be in the forefront saying, sir, either you can do this or you can't do this. These are people who have been put on those seats to do a job, and they are not doing it. And so, because they are not doing it, the president is going ahead and doing what he wants to do, and that's why everyone else who cares about the environment, who knows the value of the environment, are crying out. Nothing else. Even a little girl would speak up because there's no other way to do it. So we need to understand this, and I am very, very happy in this country. Today we have a lot of young people who are standing up for the environment. And I am proud of that, because the reason being, in the schools today, you know, every school has an environmental club now. And the teachers who are teaching environmental management or environmental science are doing a very good job of making sure that they get the right knowledge. So the children know the value of the environment. They are concerned about it, because it's their future. The older people will pass away, but it's the children who will have to suffer for that. So I don't think they deserve to have a country which does not have enough forest cover, which does not have elephants. And today the amount of killing of elephants that is happening, all because interior into the jungle clearing is taking place. And so the elephants don't have anywhere else to go but to come to the village. You know, the elephants they're not going looking for something, because their own habitat is disrupted. They don't have anywhere else to go. One thing we need to understand is that animals also have rights. They have the right to live in their environment, and I think if people want to have housing, they should go upwards. There should be high-rising.
Doctor, we're in the final few minutes of the show. Just to give some space, of course, to the questions that have come in. I couldn't take too many of them. But there is a question that has come in from one of our viewers. The Port City project itself has caused ample environmental damage. We would like to listen to your comments on this.
Yeah. Well, basically it started with this. Because they were filling the land, they were filling the ocean, they had to take sand from somewhere and they had to dump it. Now, when you take sand from a place, you are not only pumping the sand, but you are also pumping the animals onto the, for the filling. And so that whole ecosystem has got disrupted. One thing we don't realize is the nature has a system. Even though we don't have a system, the nature has a system. We call it the ecosystem. And that nature has everything in place in order to run it properly. The coral reefs, the sand dunes, the seaweeds, everything, they have a system. The moment you go and disturb it, it gets disrupted. And every ecosystem is linked. So we also benefit by eating fish from the ocean because the ecosystem is healthy. But the moment it's disturbed, then it wouldn't work out. Now, in the port city, they brought the sea sand and they filled the ocean area, which was meant to become a city. Now, that caused a huge amount of disruption. Now, another thing that has happened is the moment you fill one part of a seashore, the sea waves would go, and they will take sand from another place. See, the nature is such that you can't stop a sea wave. It will go where it wants to go. We need to understand that we are an island nation. We can't stop the nature. We can't tell the nature behave this way or that way. It behaves the way it likes. The tsunami, how it came. The tsunami was so fierce because the coral reefs were all damaged. And that's why the sea wave came directly inside the island. We need to remember, we have so many things in nature that protects us. The forests are a way to protect us. The forest provides us with so many things, not only water, cleans the air, oxygen, food, it's a whole system that is functioning to take care of us. The sea is the same. The sea itself is functioning in such a way that is providing us with oil. It has, it's giving us ample food and protecting us.
And Doctor, all of these are the reasons why we should, as one country, of course, devoid of political differences or political opinions, stand up to not overthrow a government or to destabilize a country, but simply for the reason of protecting the environment for us and for our future generations as well. Thank you very much, Dr. Ajantha Perera, for joining us on our show, but unfortunately that's all the time we have on Newsline Live tonight, of course. Thank you very much also to all our viewers out there for tuning in. Until we meet again, take care and God bless.